Hi,
Hey,
I'm Julia,
and I'm Amanda,
and this is Much Needed Advice.
a podcast for people who want to know what to do. Coming to you this evening from bed. Normally, Julie and I are committed to recording each podcast in person, but this is our first podcast over Zoom because neither of us can get out of bed right now.
Yeah, we had a big week, and I had a sleep-related injury because I am in my 30s after all.
This is the second time one of us has thrown our back out.
This year, it's February, so we're off to a good start. So we had a big week because Amanda and I threw a baby shower for our best friend. A very big 60-person baby shower, I might add.
Yeah. And afterwards, we got in and out and slept for 15 hours.
And here we are from our beds, keeping our commitment.
Exactly. Because 2023, we may be old and decrepit and tired, but we will not miss a week of dropping the pod.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but we had a great time. And also, one of my friends just reached out this weekend saying that she was just asked to throw her cousin's baby shower and wanted some advice. So we thought, what better way than to share that advice on the podcast?
Exactly. And our examples will be from a baby shower, but these will be tips for party throwing in general.
One of the big accomplishments from this past week also was that Julia did some investigative journalism and really got to the bottom of our audio issue. I don't know if any of our listeners noticed, but all of them noticed. We had a bit of an audio issue with the last two guest episodes. Julia's quickly become an audiophile and did a bit of research and figured out what was happening.
I read a lot of blogs. I watched a lot of really boring YouTube videos, but we figured it out. And for all you budding podcasters, you cannot use 3 USB mics in the same room and not run into problems. So we are updating our audio setup for guests so they will sound perfect and clear in the future.
We're excited to bring you another guest episode. But for today, it's just you and us. And before Julie and I fall asleep, we're going to share our best tips for throwing a party for your friend.
Yep. Let's get right into it.
So I think we're going to kick it off with high level what matters and what doesn't matter when it comes to throwing a party. And this can apply to a baby shower, a wedding, a birthday party,
Graduation parties, engagement parties, bachelorette parties.
There's endless parties.
Endless parties.
So to start off with what really matters, what's worth the money, what's worth investing your time in, what's worth getting right. I think number one is the people. So the people that you invite, even if you're a really big group, if everyone really knows each other and has history, I think one thing that was fun about our party this weekend is that everyone had a lot of history with one another and knew each other really well. That makes it really easy because no one's just standing around awkwardly. Everyone always has someone to talk to, someone to catch up with. It feels comfortable. If there are any activities with jokes, everyone gets the jokes. And then I think another thing that really matters is photos. Just some kind of a plan for photos, for keeping those memories, for people being able to post beyond just taking photos with their iPhone. Personalization. So making it customized to the people that you're throwing the party for. You'd be surprised how many parties are just feel very cookie cutter and not really speaking to the uniqueness of the people who the party's for. And then I would also say music. So setting that ambiance, the music really sets the tone for the whole party and keeps the energy up. And then lastly, some passive activities. You know, we love activities here at M&A. So some things to do that can give everyone something to react to, something to compete over, something that involves prizes. People always love that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. I've hosted Thanksgiving with just my family, and I wasn't sure if anyone would want to do an activity or not, but I would say always have one planned just in case, because you can always have it planned and not do it.
Yep.
Some of the activities that were passive that we had at this baby shower were predictions where people could fill out like when they thought the baby was going to come. We had another station where people could write nice notes and advice. And this also goes into photos. We had Polaroid cameras laying around with film so people could just take their own pictures and have sweet little keepsakes.
And we also had a competition for name suggestions. And it was kind of supposed to be silly. And then we gave out prizes for the most original name, the name most likely to be used, and the worst overall name. And just gave people, you know, gift cards. But it was kind of fun to let people let loose a little bit. And I was shocked at how many people participated in all of these passive activities. They were super popular.
Yeah, people really got into it. I would say other easy activities to have are like those conversation cards. Those are really easy. Sometimes you can even, if you're doing a dinner party, you can pick ones and slide them under people's plates and then have everybody grab them and ask their question at some point during the meal. Another fun one is, depending on the theme, you can put together just like a little quiz with like 10 questions and then have a Starbucks gift card or something as a prize for whoever got the most right. So those are just some activity ideas. Okay, let's jump into what doesn't matter so much for these parties and what you don't need to fret over as much as you might think. First is food. You definitely want something to feed your guests, but you don't have to have perfect or fancy food. In fact, I think people might even enjoy like a crock pot full of chili more than some fancy catered skewer with one cherry tomato on it. So don't fret. As long as there's something for people to munch on, people will be happy.
Just think about what people comment on after a wedding. Rarely people will say, wow, the food at that wedding was so amazing. And somehow it tends to be the more you spend on food, the less remarkable it is, because it's so hard to cater food really well for really large groups of people. And it's just not worth all the buildup just to say that you're serving salmon.
Okay, next is perfect decor. Nobody is going to be like, oh, these flowers don't look expensive. If those are your friends, get new friends.
Decor is purposely in the background, right? It's just meant to provide the scenery for what people are actually looking at, which is the other people. And no one's going to be scrutinizing if there's some wrinkle in your tablecloth. It's supposed to be a backdrop anyway to your party.
There are cute things you can do that are inexpensive and not too much work. Amanda got some great marquee signs that she lettered ahead of time so that she didn't have to do it day of. And that was super cute. I think everybody loved it. A lot of people took pictures of that one little corner. And then I just got a bunch of different bouquets from Trader Joe's and put together flower arrangements in vases that I already had and like mason jars that I saved from jam or whatever, and just tied little twine bows around some of the vases. And it's just like sweet. It's homemade. I think people are more impressed that you did the flowers than they would be if you spent thousands of dollars getting them done. And then on that same note, fancy location, not important. As long as it's comfortable and your friends can all gather and have a good time, that's really all that matters. So don't hold back. Like, if you think you don't have the nicest house, but you want to have people over, just have them over. People aren't going to fret that you don't live in some beautiful mansion or something.
Yeah, being a host is all about making your guests feel comfortable. So whatever's going to be cozy, whatever feels like you, whatever feels authentic is perfect.
Yep. So another thing that doesn't matter is your outfit.
This is a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, it is. So for this baby shower, we were helping to host it. We are not the mother to be. Our outfits really don't matter. What mattered the most was that we were comfortable and we could move around in them for a 12-hour day. And it certainly was not my cutest outfit of all time that I wore this weekend, but it was comfy and it got the job done.
Right. If you're throwing a party, you're not the star. No one's looking at you. It doesn't matter as much as you think it might. Just be comfortable. Don't spend a ton of money and time trying to pick out the perfect outfit. People aren't looking at you. They're looking at the bride-to-be, the pregnant woman, whoever the party is being thrown for.
Yep. And then lastly, I guess I could have said this first, but whatever. The invitations don't matter. In this day and age, nobody is upset by an electronic invitation. We have a big Super Bowl party every year, and Jeff just sends an email, like not even an invitation, just an email to everyone. And his emails are kind of famous.
Because they're funny.
Yeah, just make it your own. People value authenticity over perfection 100% of the time. And that's what this whole episode is about.
Yep. We all need to be reminded of it sometimes. We're going to get into some 4 must-dos and 4 must-don'ts for your party. Here are my 4 must-dos. First off, pick a color palette and make a Pinterest board. It is a huge time saver to just already have some predetermined limitations as to what the whole party and vibe is going to be like. Even better if you can have the person of honor just create this for you and you can take it from there.
This one is huge. I can't emphasize enough how much a color palette saves you time in the long run. It just makes everything so easy and it eliminates so much decision making for the rest of the process. And then, like you were saying about a Pinterest board, even if someone describes to you what they want visually, we all picture different things and have different references. So it's really good if everyone can see the same pictures of things to really know they're on the same page.
This was a godsend for the meat of the decor that Julie and I chose, because there was a Pinterest photo that had a clothesline with some baby onesies on it just as decor. And then there was the color palette of kind of sage, olive, chai, and like an off-white. And just seeing those together, that allowed us to immediately think of purchasing actual baby clothes in the color palette to hang on a clothesline as decor. So that made it super easy to run into stores and only pick out the things in the color palette and leave everything else and then move on to the next store. So it kind of pre-made some decisions for us and made the shopping process really fast. And that leads into the second must-do, which is get some 2-for-1s. So have your decor, like I was describing, double as your gift for the person. A clothesline with baby clothes can be hung up by a window and be decorative, but it can also be a gift that you give to the couple afterwards. Similarly, we had Polaroid cameras out where people were welcome to use the cameras to take their own Polaroids. And that's kind of a way to get both decor and photography as a 2-in-1. And it's also an activity. So the more you can think of ways to layer your decor, gifts, photography, and activities and get some 2-for-1s, the easier and more affordable your party will be to plan.
Right. Like, who doesn't love a photo booth moment at any event?
Yep. Activity and memory in one. The third must-do is mind the details. This isn't about being a perfectionist. This isn't about your wrinkled tablecloth. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, incorporating some winks and nods that if people are looking closely, they'll pick up on and they'll appreciate. So some examples of this is we played the Newlywed Game, Baby Edition. So we had our couple who's having a baby sit in chairs and answer questions and hold up one paddle or the other for themselves or for their partner. But what we did is instead of putting just their faces, we put their faces when they were babies on the paddles. Something like that people can kind of laugh at or have fun with. Another detail that really came in handy was creating a bathroom sign. Julia found a bathroom sign on Amazon that was really cute and kind of went with the decor of the party and helped direct people to the right place.
And make it so you don't have to point out the bathroom to people every 5 seconds. You're making it easier on yourself.
Yeah. Another thing that was really special is one person helped out by bringing dessert, and she made about 50 cupcakes. She decorated them all to look like succulents. And that really went with the theme of the party. And those little things just make the event personalized and special and memorable. And then lastly, our last must do is simple, delicious food. So we already mentioned the food doesn't really matter. So our advice here is keep it simple as possible. Focus on it tasting delicious, not being flashy. So what we did for this party is the owners of the home, they actually did an incredible job making all of the food themselves, which to us sounded like a huge undertaking. They just took an incredible mac and cheese family recipe, made 2 green salads, made a fruit salad. The husband made his famous chili, and that was it. They chose to make 4 really simple family recipes that they knew were going to be home runs, that they knew everyone was going to love, that were just going to taste great, but were really easy to make in large batches. And they were a hit. People love mac and cheese, chili, burgers. People love comfort food.
People love bowls of chips. People love bowls of M&Ms. Like it really doesn't have to be gourmet for people to be happy.
All right, Julia, take us into our 4 must-don'ts.
Here are our 4 must-don'ts, also known as don'ts. Okay, 1, don't be basic. Be personal. Incorporate inside jokes. If your person of honor loves peanut M&Ms, have peanut M&Ms.
You know, all of the traditional baby shower games and decor can be very basic, can be very cringy. And that's just boring. You're better than that, listener. We believe in you.
You are. Oh, and we didn't even talk about the Mad Lib. Amanda had the brilliant idea of doing a Mad Lib for the baby shower, but you could do it for any party. And we wrote it in advance. We used some stuff that we found online, and then we edited it to make it personal. And then we just sat in front of the whole group and said, okay, throw out an adjective, give me a noun, whatever. And then we had the future father-to-be read the story at the end, and it was such a hit. Like, everybody was talking about it. It was so simple, but it ended up being really funny, and everyone participated, and it was totally free and just like a fun, personalized thing to do. That went over really well.
I mean, read the room. Like, you don't have to do the everyone smells the shitty diapers game. Color outside the lines a little bit.
Yep. Love that. Okay. Secondly, don't do it all yourself. We got to throw this party together, which made it so much more fun and so much easier. 2 heads are always better than 1. So if you can buddy up, definitely do that. Number 3, don't use balloons, guys. They're really bad for the environment because they don't biodegrade. I even researched biodegradable balloons, and supposedly they're a myth, or they're like greenwashing. They still take years and years to degrade. And we learned helium is a finite resource. So once we use it up, it's gone. So there's actual important uses for it. So just ditch the balloons. There's other things you can do. We used paper lanterns, and they were really cute, and they have the exact same effect without killing the environment, and you can reuse them. And then lastly, don't break the bank. There's so much you can do inexpensively. Throw together your own flower arrangement. You can even forage for that. I've done that before. Paper lanterns are inexpensive. Streamers are inexpensive. Don't go all out on food that nobody cares about. Just make it personal, make it memorable, and don't go crazy on the spending.
Peruse Amazon. You can find some unique, interesting signage or decor that you don't see everywhere, and you might even be able to return it afterwards. Shh.
Don't tell.
Don't tell Amazon.
It's also nice to get things you can reuse. Like, Amanda, you got those marquees. Signage that you customize that you can reuse for every other party you ever have is a great move. And I'm going to link literally everything that we've talked about in these show notes. There's going to be a lot of links.
Tell them about Fran's well wishes cards that were free also.
Oh, yeah. So the woman who hosted the baby shower at her beautiful home, she had this idea of printing out on her home printer on cardstock pictures of like just babies throughout history, like medieval babies, paintings of the baby Jesus, the Nirvana baby, just so many weird babies. And so she made basically little postcards that she printed at home, and we set up that station, and then people wrote really nice notes on the back of the weird baby of their choice. So that was totally free, and it was like such a great quirky touch that was so perfectly imperfect. Some of the pictures had like her mouse cursor, like the arrow on the picture, or like it was a screenshot and it had the apps at the bottom of her phone in it.
I think she mentioned her printer was running out of ink too, so the colors were weird, but it made it even more charming and interesting. And all we had to do was buy a couple of cheap cork boards that people could pin up their cards once they were done writing on them. And it made it a great little activity station.
Yep.
So these signs that I got a marquee first off because it kind of went with the theme of this party that's at the home of someone in the music industry. We were throwing a party for someone in the music industry who's married to someone in the film industry. So it kind of went with the theme of the house, you know, when you see guitars are everywhere. And so in addition to the marquee, there were also these letter boards. So on Amazon, they're called letterboard, black felt board with stand and built-in LED lights. So you'd recognize them if you saw them. They're just these felt boards where you can stick one letter at a time into them and it can spell out whatever you want. Just using that as our welcome sign or putting it next to our Polaroid cameras and saying, pick up a camera and take some pics. Oh, and one more note around do it all yourself. Julia talked about how she and I got to do the planning together, which I would not have survived it alone. It was just like fun and motivating to do it with someone else. But also a big tip is to have a crew on the day to hang everything up and to decorate, because it is more work than you think it will be. It'll take more time than you think. Even if you do a ton of prep in advance and pack your car with everything pre-made, it still is exhausting to put everything up and hang everything up. So I think we had maybe like a total of 8 people all working together the day of, and that was extremely helpful. And did everyone hang everything perfectly the way we might have if we had done it alone? Maybe not. But again, it was better that it was a collaborative effort and everyone had more fun doing it that way. And all the decorations incorporated other people's ideas and their little flair. And it was nice to see that throughout the party too. So it wasn't just our hands that were all over everything. It was a combination of all of our friends pitching in.
Definitely. Somewhat on that note, I would say do as much as you can ahead of time. Like I made all of the flower arrangements the night before. Amanda set up all the letterboard signs in advance. to just do as much as possible not on the day of, because everything on the day of is going to take longer than you think.
Yeah, and you want to be fresh for the party too. You want to be ready to put your party face on and greet people.
Should we do a recap of our must-dos and must-don'ts?
Let's do a recap. When planning a party, here's what matters and what doesn't matter. What matters is the people, the photos, the personalization, the passive activities, and the music. It really bothers me that music doesn't start with a P, because then it could be the 5 Ps.
Perfection doesn't matter, Amanda.
You had to use a phrase with a P. And then here's what really doesn't matter. And this might be hard to hear, but trust us. The food, having perfect decor, a fancy location, your outfit, or the invitations.
So here's a quick recap of our 4 must-dos and must-don'ts and mustn'ts.
You mustn't.
Must do and mustn't do's.
Must do and must not.
Okay, our 4 must-dos. 1, pick a color palette and make a Pinterest board. 2, get 2-for-1s, decor, gift, photography, activities that can count as multiple categories. 3, mind the details. And 4, have simple, delicious food. Our 4 must-don'ts. 1, don't be basic. 2, don't do it all yourself. 3, don't use balloons. And 4, don't break the bank. Hey, Amanda, guess what time it is?
I have no idea.
It's time for our Recs of the Week.
All right. I happen to bring a rec of the week.
Wow. Tell me about it.
My rec of the week is in the theme of party planning and party throwing, and it is command hooks. So, of course, these can be found on Amazon as usual. These are the hooks that you can place anywhere that have a very sticky adhesive that can easily be removed without damaging the wall or ceiling at all. So it's basically magic and is absolutely essential for all decorations, including your clothes hanger decor, your ceiling lanterns, your streamers. Trust us, they can be used for a million things. So don't sleep on command hooks.
Yep. And I even used command strips to hang up my rec of the week, which is a bathroom sign. I found a cute little restroom sign on Amazon. I hung it up with some command strips so it didn't damage these people's house, because I don't think they wanted a restroom sign there full time. Although they kind of did in the end. So I definitely recommend getting some kind of sign for the bathroom so you don't have to be directing people for the whole party and people can just be self-sufficient. So I'm going to link that in the notes. So yep, command hooks, command strips, and a bathroom sign are party must-haves.
Good luck out there. Make us proud.
Throw some parties, but don't stress yourself out.
Partying is important. If it's not fun, what's the point?
Exactly. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
So that's what we think you should do. What do you think? Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you need advice? DM us on Instagram at much.needed.advice or email us at muchneededadvicepod@gmail.com. Bye.
How do we become one voice?